What have you done? My voice echoed through the wreckage of my home office. Papers scattered across the floor, my laptop smashed, and my carefully organized client files thrown into garbage bags. My mother-in-law, Diana, stood in the middle of the chaos, arms crossed and wearing a satisfied smirk. I'm helping you, Amanda. This little business fantasy of yours needs to end. My son deserves a proper wife, not someone playing entrepreneur in her spare time. I gripped the doorframe to steady myself, my doctor's appointment forgotten as I surveyed the destruction. 3 years of building my consulting business, countless hours of work, all treated like trash by a woman who'd never worked a day in her life. My name is Amanda Parker, and at 34, I'd built a successful digital marketing consultancy from my home office while raising 2 kids. My clients included small businesses and startups, but last week, I landed the opportunity of a lifetime. A contract with Next Gen Technologies, a deal worth $4.2 million. The signed contract had been sitting on my desk, waiting to be processed on Monday, the same desk that now lay in pieces. Where are the papers that were on my desk? I asked, fighting to keep my voice steady. The contract I showed you last night. Diana waved dismissively. Of those went first, right through the shredder. Really, Amanda, forging company documents? That's just sad. No one would offer that kind of money for your little website business. My blood ran cold. The contract, the CEO's signature, the multiple copies, all destroyed. You had no right, I whispered, then louder, you had no right to touch anything in this room. I had every right. Diana shot back. Michael agrees with me. You're neglecting your family with this obsession. He's tired of coming home to take out dinners because his wife is too busy with her computer to cook properly. Michael, my husband, who'd given his mother a key for emergencies despite my protests, who'd been increasingly distant since I'd started bringing in more income than he did. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and called the Next Gen CEO's office. Straight to voicemail. Of course, it was Saturday. The contract had to be processed by Monday morning, or the deal would go to their second choice. A deal that would have set my family up for life, paid for my kids' college funds, and finally proved to everyone that my business wasn't just a hobby. I've already called Michael, Diana continued, picking up her designer handbag. He's on his way home. We agree it's time for you to focus on what really matters. The children need their mother, not some wannabe businesswoman. I watched her walk out, her heels clicking against the hardwood floors my business had paid for. The same business she'd just potentially destroyed. But Diana had made one crucial mistake. Last night, after she'd made snide comments about the contract being fake, I'd taken photos of every page and emailed them to myself and my business partner, Sarah. A habit I developed after Diana had accidentally spilled coffee on client documents last month. I sank into the only remaining chair, my mind racing. The physical contract was gone, but maybe there was still a way to salvage this. I'd learned long ago to keep digital backups of everything, anticipating Diana's helpful interventions. My phone buzzed. A text from Michael. Mom told me what she found. We need to talk about your priorities. My priorities, like building a successful business, creating financial security for our family, being a role model for our daughters, showing them women could be both mothers and entrepreneurs. I looked around my destroyed office at the remnants of the space where I'd built something from nothing. Diana thought she ended my little business fantasy, but she'd actually done something else entirely. She'd finally given me the push I needed to stop tolerating her interference. The sound of a car pulling into the driveway told me Michael was home. I could hear Diana's voice in the background, probably filling his head with her version of events. But for the first time in years, I wasn't worried about defending myself. I opened my laptop, my backup laptop kept safely in my bedroom closet, and pulled up my photos of the contract. My hands flew across the keyboard as I composed an email to NextGen's CEO, explaining the situation and attaching the documented proof of our agreement. Then I called Sarah. Diana did what? She exclaimed when I told her. The contract, is it completely gone? Shredded, I confirmed. But I have the photos. Sarah, I need you to send me every backup copy of every client document we have. Every invoice, every proposal, everything that proves this isn't some little hobby business. Already on it, she replied, the sound of typing coming through the phone. Amanda, you know this is the last straw, right? You can't keep letting her sabotage you like this. I know, I said, surprised by how calm I felt. And believe me, she's about to learn exactly what happens when you underestimate a wannabe businesswoman. The front door opened. Michael's footsteps approached my office, accompanied by Diana's constant stream of commentary. "Amanda," he called out, "Mom told me what happened. Why can't you just—" He stopped short in the doorway, taking in the destruction. For the first time, I saw uncertainty flicker across his face. "Your mother shredded a $4.2 million contract," I said quietly. "She destroyed my office and my equipment. And you're about to learn that actions have consequences." "Now, Amanda," Diana started, appearing behind Michael, "don't be dramatic." I was just. My phone pinged with an email notification. The CEO's response. "Contract photos received. Our legal team will prepare new copies immediately. I'm sorry about your mother-in-law's actions. Fortunately, your foresight in documenting everything means we can proceed as planned. Looking forward to working with such a meticulous professional." I turned the phone to show them both, watching their faces as they read the message. Diana's smug expression crumbled, while Michael's eyes widened as the magnitude of what his mother had done began to sink in. "Now," I said, standing up, "we're going to have a very interesting conversation about boundaries, respect, and the future of this family." Diana's face reddened. "You ungrateful." "No," I cut her off. "You don't get to speak right now. For once, you're going to listen." I hadn't planned on working this weekend, but it seemed I had an important presentation to make, one that would change my family dynamics forever. I pulled up the detailed financial records on my backup laptop, turning the screen so both Michael and Diana could see clearly. "Let's talk numbers," I said, my voice steady. "In the past year alone, my little hobby has paid for both kids' private school tuition, the new roof on our house, and yes, Diana, even those designer handbags you love to borrow from me." Diana's face flushed. "That's impossible. No one makes that kind of money working from home on a computer." Actually, I clicked through to another spreadsheet. Not only is it possible, but I've grown my client base by 300% in the last 2 years. This next-gen contract would have been my biggest yet, the one you just tried to destroy. Michael stepped forward, his face pale as he looked at the numbers. "Amanda, I had no idea." "Of course you didn't," I replied. "You were too busy listening to your mother tell you how I was neglecting our family to actually look at what I was building." I pulled up photos of the shredded contract, watching Diana's smug expression falter as she realized the evidence of her destruction was documented. "Here's what's going to happen now," I continued, closing my laptop. "First, you're both going to help me clean up this mess. Every piece of paper, every broken item. It's all getting documented for the insurance claim." "Insurance claim?" Diana sputtered. "You wouldn't dare." "Watch me. Breaking and entering, destruction of property, it's all on our security cameras." I pointed to the small device in the corner of my office, its red light blinking steadily. Another precaution I learned to take after the coffee incident. Michael's head snapped up. "What coffee incident?" "Oh, you didn't know? Last month, your mother deliberately spilled coffee on client contracts because she thought I was spending too much time on paperwork instead of cooking dinner." Diana's face went from red to white. "That was an accident. The security footage suggests otherwise." I pulled out my phone, showing them the email from my insurance agent. "I've already submitted the footage. They're very interested in the pattern of behavior it shows." Michael sank into the remaining chair, running his hands through his hair. "Why didn't you tell me about any of this?" "Would you have believed me?" I asked quietly. "Every time I tried to talk about the business, you change the subject or tell me not to worry about money. But here's the thing. I do worry about money. I worry about our kids' future, about retirement, about building something that matters." I gestured to the destruction around us. This is just going to make me work harder, but it's also going to change things in this family." "What do you mean?" Michael asked, while Diana stood silently fuming. "First, your mother's key privileges are revoked. No more unauthorized visits, no more helping with my office or any other part of our home." "Now see here," Diana started, but I held up my hand. "Second, we're getting marriage counseling. We need to talk about why you've been so threatened by my success that you let your mother systematically try to destroy it." Michael opened his mouth to protest, then closed it, looking around at the chaos his mother had created. "And third," I turned to Diana, "if you ever, and I mean ever, Try to interfere with my business again. I will press charges. Those contracts you shredded, they're worth more than your house. You wouldn't, she whispered, but there was fear in her eyes now. Try me. I've documented everything. Every accident, every sabotage attempt, every disparaging comment about my work. I kept quiet because I wanted to keep the peace, but that ends today. My phone buzzed again. Another email from NextGen's CEO. New contracts being couriered to your office first thing Monday. We've added a clause about equipment replacement and security measures, fully covered by us. Looking forward to a long and profitable partnership. I opened the email, watching Diana's last bits of superiority crumble. You see, I said, picking up a piece of my shattered laptop, you thought you were teaching me a lesson about being a proper wife. Instead, you taught me something far more valuable, that I've been too tolerant of toxic behavior in the name of family harmony. Michael stood up, finally seeming to find his voice. Mom, I think you should leave. Diana's head snapped toward him. Michael, you can't be serious. I was only trying to help. Help? He gestured at the destruction. You broke into our house and destroyed my wife's office. How was that helping? But she's neglecting you, the children. No, I interrupted. I'm showing our children, especially our daughters, that women can be successful on their own terms. I'm teaching them about financial independence, about not letting anyone dictate their worth. I started picking up scattered papers, my voice firm. You can either help clean up your mess, or you can leave. But either way, things changed today. Diana looked between us, perhaps realizing for the first time that her control was slipping. Without another word, she turned and walked out, her heels clicking rapidly down the hallway. Michael watched her go, then turned to me. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I should have seen what was happening. Yes, you should have, I agreed, handing him a garbage bag. But right now, I need you to help me salvage what we can. We can talk about everything else later. As we worked to restore order to my office, I couldn't help but smile slightly. Diana thought she destroyed my business, but instead, she freed me from years of subtle manipulation and undermining. Sometimes it takes losing everything to realize what you're truly capable of standing up for. My phone pinged with another message, Sarah sending over the backup files we'd need for Monday. The next-gen contract was safe, my business was stronger than ever. And for the first time in years, I felt completely in control of my own path. Diana had tried to force me into her narrow view of what a wife and mother should be. Instead, she'd helped me become something even better. A woman who knew her worth and wasn't afraid to defend it. 6 months after Diana's office destruction, I sat in my newly renovated home office, admiring the sleek design and upgraded security system. The next-gen contract had been even more successful than anticipated, leading to referrals that doubled my client base. My phone buzzed with a text from Diana. The kids' recital is tonight. I expect front row seats will be saved for their grandmother. I smiled, remembering our last family gathering where she'd learned about boundaries the hard way. After the office incident, she tried showing up unannounced several times, only to find herself locked out by our new security system. Each attempt was documented, each tantrum recorded. All seats are assigned, I texted back. Your ticket is in the middle section, row C. The response was immediate. This is unacceptable. I'm their grandmother. And I'm their mother. The seating arrangement stands. I set my phone aside and turned back to my work. The latest project, a major tech company's digital transformation strategy, needed my full attention. My team of 15 employees, all working remotely, was waiting for my input. Michael knocked on my office door, carrying a cup of coffee. Since the incident, he'd become my biggest supporter, attending therapy sessions and finally establishing healthy boundaries with his mother. Diana's blowing up my phone about the recital seats, he said, setting down the coffee. I know, I replied. She'll either accept her assigned seat or watch the video recording we're having made. He chuckled. Remember when we used to rearrange everything just to make her happy? Remember when she tried to sabotage my multi-million-dollar contract and ended up making my business stronger instead? The irony wasn't lost on either of us. Diana's attempt to destroy my business had backfired spectacularly. The incident had made local business news, leading to speaking engagements about women entrepreneurs and dealing with family sabotage. My client list now included companies that would have seemed impossible to reach a year ago. That evening at the recital, Diana arrived early, clearly planning to claim her usual front row spot. The usher, well briefed, politely but firmly directed her to her assigned seat. I watched from backstage as she realized her power plays no longer worked. Mom. Emma, my oldest, rushed over in her dance costume. Did you see the video message from your CEO client? I nodded, hugging her carefully to avoid disturbing her outfit. He wished you and your sister good luck. Pretty cool, right? So cool. Jenny says her mom read about you in Business Weekly. She says you're her role model now. My youngest, Sarah, joined us, adjusting her violin strings. Grandma looks mad about her seat, she observed. Grandma's learning that actions have consequences, I replied, just like we talked about. After the recital, Diana made her way toward us but stopped short when she saw the group of businesswomen I was chatting with, CEOs and founders who had become mentors and friends since the office incident. Amanda's story really inspired our women's leadership initiative, one was saying. The way she handled that family sabotage situation showed incredible strategic thinking. Diana hovered on the periphery, finally experiencing what it felt like to be an outsider. Michael joined us, proudly introducing himself as the husband of the CEO. Later that night, after the girls were in bed, I received an unexpected email from Diana. I saw the magazine article about your company's growth. Perhaps I was wrong about some things. Would you consider meeting for coffee next week? I showed the email to Michael. What do you think? I think she's finally realizing she can either adapt to the new normal or keep losing ground, he replied. Your success is impossible to ignore now. I thought carefully before responding. Coffee works. Tuesday at 10, my office conference room. Let her come to my space, see what her destruction had led to. A thriving business that had outgrown the home office, a team of dedicated employees, and a daughter-in-law who no longer needed or wanted her approval. The following Tuesday, Diana arrived exactly on time, looking smaller somehow in my corporate conference room. Her designer handbag, once her symbol of superiority, was last season's model. Quite an upgrade from your little home office, she said, trying to maintain her usual condescension. Amazing what you can accomplish when no one's sabotaging your work, I replied calmly. What can I do for you, Diana? She glanced around at the awards on the walls, the framed magazine covers, the visible evidence of everything she tried to prevent. I may have been incorrect in my assessment of your business, she said finally. You were wrong, I corrected, and your actions were criminal. The only reason you're not facing charges is because I chose to be merciful. She flinched. The children miss having me around more. The children are thriving with our new boundaries. They're learning valuable lessons about respect, consequences, and not letting anyone diminish their dreams. Diana nodded slowly, perhaps finally understanding that her power plays would never work again. She tried to force me into her narrow view of what a woman should be, and instead she had catalyzed my transformation into someone stronger than she ever imagined. So, I said, checking my watch, I have a client meeting in 10 minutes. Was there anything else? She stood, adjusting her outdated handbag. No, I suppose not. As I watched her leave, I felt no satisfaction in her diminishment, only gratitude for the lessons her destruction had taught me. Sometimes the people who try to tear you down end up building you into something far stronger than they intended. I turned back to my computer, ready for my next meeting. After all, I had an empire to run.